Story 1. All these events happened when I was 13 years old. It was the night before the 4th of July. Fireworks are illegal in my area, so I was trying to find a dealer to buy them from. My friend Luke and I went onto a firework forum called Fireworks for You. There was a user that posted that he was looking to sell a few mortars and a couple hundred firecrackers in our area. I messaged him on the forum, and he told me to text some phone number with a weird area code I had never seen before. "Hi, it's Matt from Fireworks for You. I'm looking to buy 6 mortars and all of the firecrackers we can get," I texted the man. "Okay, that's swell. Come meet me under the overpass on Bakers Boulevard at 9. Please bring cash," the dealer replied. Bakers Boulevard was quite a hike from my house. It was basically in the middle of nowhere. On top of that, he wanted to meet us under the overpass. This overpass was way down Bakers and was surrounded by woods on both sides. I would have usually been a bit reluctant to go. It was a creepy area and it was at night, but I really wanted these fireworks. Thus, we got the cash and rode our bikes all the way there. By the time we arrived in the area, it was near dark. It was completely quiet. All you could hear was the sound of crickets. We left our bikes a few hundred feet away from the overpass, as we didn't want to have them next to us when we bought the goods. We thought they made us look like little kids. We walked towards the overpass and sat on the curb. Around a half hour passed and nobody showed up. "Is he even coming, man?" I asked, staring into the sky. "I don't know. Shoot him another text," Luke replied. I took out my phone and texted the dealer, "Where are you?" followed by multiple question marks. A did not deliver message popped up on my phone. "No service, stupid Verizon," I muttered to myself. Suddenly, a tree branch snapped. 5 figures quickly appeared from the woods behind the overpass. "Someone finally answered my prayers," one figure yelled. 5 large men walked out from the woods. They were all wearing ghost face masks. Quickly sensing what was going on, Luke and I began sprinting towards our bikes. The men began chasing after us. "We just want to play," one yelled, followed by a high-pitched laugh. Luke had really bad asthma, so he quickly began to fall behind. "Keep running, man. We gotta get out of here," I muttered to Luke. "Can't run anymore," Luke replied, in between wheezes. The men were getting closer now. "Get the little guys," one man yelled. They were so close I could hear them breathing behind us. Suddenly, Luke fell. I don't know why I didn't stop, but I was just so scared that my legs kept moving. "Help me, Matt," Luke cried, as the men grabbed hold of him. They began dragging him further back towards the woods. I sprinted as fast as I ever have in my life and made it to my bike. I hopped on and pedaled away as quickly as possible. Luke's screams slowly faded out, but they've been burned into my mind ever since. I called the police as soon as I had service. The cops and Luke's parents went to the woods. All they found were Luke's glasses. They were completely smashed. This all happened last 4th of July. Luke's parents have never forgiven me, and I don't even blame them. I should have never left him. Luke, I'm sorry, my friend. I will never forget you, or your terror-filled screams. Story 2. It was July 4th of 2011, and my family decided to take a vacation for the holiday. My dad is very into history, so we stayed at a bed and breakfast a few miles away from Colonial Williamsburg. For those of you who don't know, Colonial Williamsburg is in Virginia, and it was a very significant area in the American Revolution. Today, it is home to various museums and attractions that allow visitors to immerse themselves in the 18th century. Since it was cheaper, we stayed at a bed and breakfast around an hour away from the museums and major tourist attractions. Seeing that it was more for adults, my parents had my older brother, Paul, watch me at the bed and breakfast. The bed and breakfast was very nice and surrounded by various hiking trails. Seeing that we were cooped up inside all day, my brother and I decided to take a walk on these trails. It was around dusk. The sun was slowly coming down, and the July heat was especially daunting. My dad said that the trails went all the way to a large lake, so Paul and I decided to walk there, do some swimming, and come back before my parents got home. We walked a few hundred feet into the trail, and I was already regretting it. "Paul, I'm getting hot. Let's just go watch the Twilight Zone marathon on TV," I begged. "No, you complained you were bored. Let's swim for a few minutes," Paul replied sternly. We continued walking. The dirt trail was very small, and there were no footsteps in sight. It seemed that nobody had been on the trails in ages. Suddenly, we heard drums. Whoever was playing was reciting some sort of military fight song. Paul began jogging towards the sound, and I followed. Dad said that some people reenact things like this around here, so we thought there was some sort of show going on. After jogging a few hundred feet, we saw a large man. He was wearing a blue uniform, similar to what soldiers wore during the Revolutionary War. He was playing a very old-looking drum while staring directly into the sun without any reaction whatsoever. Hey sir, how do you do? We really like your playing," Paul said, staring at the man. The man's head quickly snapped directly towards us. "Hello, young man. I am Colonel Peter Muhlenberg," the man said curtly. The man stared at us. His eyes looked empty. It was as if he wasn't even there. I mean, physically, he was there. We could see his dirtied uniform, his drums, and the two large scars on his face, one right under his eyebrow and the other underneath his lip. Nonetheless, he seemed like some sort of mirage. "So do you live around here, sir?" I asked, timidly. "No, I hail from Pennsylvania," the colonel replied, continuing to stare at me. At this point, it was starting to get dark. We knew our parents would be home soon, and we weren't supposed to have left our room. "Okay, well, we should be going, mister," Paul muttered to the man. The man turned his head back towards the sky and continued playing the drum. We made it back to our room before my parents returned home. Dad came back with a pamphlet. It listed some of the more famous figures of the American Revolution. My heart nearly stopped. Page 8 of the pamphlet was wholly dedicated to Colonel Peter Muhlenberg. He was from Pennsylvania and fought in Virginia during the American Revolution. He had a scar underneath his eyebrow and a matching scar underneath his lip. We told my parents who we saw when we were hiking. After yelling at us for leaving the room, my dad went to the lobby to ask if there was some sort of reenactment going on in the trails today. The man at the front desk told him that they haven't had any reenactments for years. In fact, he said that we were the only guests currently staying at the bed and breakfast. I will never forget that 4th of July. Colonel Muhlenberg, if you're out there, thank you for your service, but please, never come back. Story 3. It was a hot and especially humid 4th of July. My friend Bradley's parents were away for the weekend, so we decided to take his dad's boat out on the water for the day. We really wanted to do some deep-sea fishing. Bradley claimed that last weekend his dad went around 75 miles offshore and caught a bunch of swordfish. Thus, we filled our cooler up and were off. Believe it or not, the waterways weren't too crowded that day. July 4th is much more of a day to stay on the beach or to enjoy a backyard barbecue than a day to fish. I know we shouldn't have done this, but I must mention that we had a few beers. I was young and stupid, but it happened. We played some music on the radio and were enjoying the sun. After we blasted every American classic ranging from American Pie to All-Star, I suddenly realized we had been driving for more than an hour. "Bradley, where are we, man? This is taking too long," I yelled over the sound of the engine. "Man, I don't even know. I lost track on beer 8, Bradley answered with a laugh. We drove for another half hour or so until the GPS indicated that we reached this so-called swordfish hotspot. We were over 50 miles offshore and there was not another boat in sight. We cracked open some new beers and cast our lines. As if on cue, as soon as I cast my line, the sky started to turn dark. Suddenly, we heard thunder. "Dude, what the hell's going on?" I screamed towards Bradley as rain slowly started pounding on the boat. "I don't know, man. It was supposed to be sunny," Bradley screamed as we reeled in our lines. The rain quickly increased in intensity and gale-force winds set in. It went from an idyllic summer day to a scene from the perfect storm in less than 10 minutes. Bradley turned on the engine. He put the boat on full speed and tried turning around to return to shore. Impaired by his drinking, Bradley turned the boat too suddenly. A large wave crashed into its side, and the boat capsized. I had my life jacket on, but Bradley did not. He clinged onto my arm, but the waves quickly tore us apart. Bradley drifted out towards the middle of the Atlantic. His arms were flailing, and his screams were drowned out by the torrential rain. I somehow survived that day. I managed to keep my head above water, and a small skiff saw my orange life vest bobbing in the waves. In what the local papers dubbed a 4th of July miracle, Bradley also survived. The Coast Guard discovered him clinging onto a floating chunk of the wrecked boat. Don't drink and drive this 4th of July. It doesn't matter if you're driving a car or your parents' new boat. It might just cost you your life.